Director, the first time you saw Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files. Did you close the files or keep reading?
I have reviewed not the entirety of the files, so
you haven't reviewed all of the Epstein files?
Personally, no.
You're the director of the FBI. This is the largest sex trafficking case the FBI has ever been a part of. Buck stops at the top, and your testimony today is you have not reviewed all the files.
What I've been doing is been busy providing the safest country this country has seen in modern U.S. history in historic speed, because the men and women of the FBI are given the resources to reduce the homicide rate, to reduce the drug trafficking rate, to reduce the amount of children that are being trafficked, and the number of pedophiles.
It sounds like those children being trafficked would appreciate the director reviewing the files.
You need to pay attention to what's happening right now, because this is one of those moments where the political world completely shifts underneath our feet. Kash Patel, Donald Trump's former chief of staff at the Department of Defense.
Decisions that Donald Trump makes, especially when it comes to the people that he decides to appoint to very important positions, including this one, because I did have to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. But when I say that you are the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI, that is real, because you are the only one that never even served with the FBI prior to joining. Yet we are supposed to believe that
That's
you are
false.
the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question.
The same guy Trump tried to install as FBI director, the same guy who's been one of Trump's most loyal attack dogs for years, is suddenly facing the very real possibility of criminal charges. And not just any charges. We're talking about potential obstruction of justice, witness tampering, maybe even conspiracy charges that could land him in federal prison.
What I want to go through is to talk about why you are a failure and why, honestly, we just need to tell you bye-bye. I know that you got a little upset and you put on your show for your boss because it seems like you're trying to save your job when it came to talking to Senator Booker yesterday.
Keep going. We're claiming your time because the people of California are being underserved by your representation. President is not implicated. Why not release everything that involves we have released everything the president and anyone else's side that is credible and lawfully be able to be released? In late January 2026, court documents were unsealed, revealing that prosecutors have obtained emails and text messages showing Kash Patel personally coordinated with Trump allies to pressure Justice Department officials into opening false investigations into election fraud claims. And not just any investigations. We're talking about investigations that Patel knew were based on lies. Investigations that were designed to create cover for Trump's fake elector scheme. Investigations that were intended to delay certification of state election results so Trump could claim he actually won. The documents show Patel communicating directly with Trump about these efforts, receiving instructions from the president, and then executing those instructions by leaning on DOJ officials who were supposed to be independent.
Really? What other evidence do those three court orders you cited prohibit from being released?
Information that was collected pursuant to those search warrants that were limited in fashion.
Wrong. That's not what the court order says, and that's not under 6E.
And you're talking, and I said that's 6E, and I said there was others, and I'm answering that. There are sealed court order documents. There are protective orders.
They are unsealed as part of discovery given to Ghislaine Maxwell.
And here's the part that should make Patel very, very nervous. The prosecutor handling the case, a seasoned veteran with decades of experience, announced that these new documents provide direct evidence of criminal intent. They show Patel knew the fraud claims were false. They show he knew the investigations were baseless, and they show he continued pushing anyway because that's what Trump wanted. In legal terms, that's conspiracy, that's obstruction, that's witness tampering if he pressured anyone to lie about what happened. And it's all sitting there in black and white in emails and texts that Patel probably thought were protected or deleted or hidden from investigators forever. Now, let's talk about why this is such a massive development. Because it's not just about Kash Patel personally, it's about what Patel knows and who he can implicate. Kash Patel was everywhere in the final months of the Trump administration. He was at the White House constantly. He was communicating with Trump directly. He was involved in the scheme to replace the acting attorney general with someone more willing to push election fraud lies. He was involved in efforts to get the Pentagon to seize voting machines, which sounds insane, but actually happened. He was involved in the fake elector plot. He was involved in pressuring state officials. He knew everything.
You said you don't know the number of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not
the
released
number at least
anyone's
be 1,000
name
times.
that we have not released anyone's
Could it
name in
at
the
least
Epstein
be
files
1,000
that
times?
has not been credible.
Director, could it at
We have
least be 1,000
released
times?
every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
you can
so-
characterize the numbers however you want it.
Claiming my time, Director. It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times. Which
It's not.
leads me-
It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number, but it's not that.
Do you think it might be your job to know the number?
And now prosecutors have evidence that Patel wasn't just following orders. He was actively conspiring, actively pushing, actively trying to overturn an election. He knew Trump lost, and that means Patel is facing a choice that no Trump loyalist ever wants to face: cooperate with prosecutors and testify against Trump and his inner circle, or refuse to cooperate and face decades in federal prison for crimes that carry serious mandatory minimum sentences. And Patel knows this. He knows the evidence against him is strong. He knows prosecutors have his own words in writing. He knows they can prove he knew what he was doing was wrong and did it anyway. And that's why Patel is reportedly terrified right now. That's why he's been calling every lawyer he knows, trying to figure out how to survive this, because the walls are closing in and there's no obvious way out. Let's dig into the specific evidence that just dropped, because it's absolutely devastating for Patel. According to the newly unsealed documents, Patel sent an email in late December 2020 to a senior Justice Department official. In that email, Patel demanded that the DOJ open investigations into supposed voter fraud in multiple states. He attached what he called evidence of fraud, but internal communications show that Patel's own staff had warned him the evidence was completely bogus. They told him the numbers didn't add up. They told him the sources were unreliable. They told him there was no there. But Patel sent it anyway, and worse, he followed up with phone calls pressuring the DOJ official to act quickly before states certified their results. The prosecutor handling the case made a point of noting that this email, combined with the follow-up calls, shows Patel understood the urgency. He knew the certification deadlines were approaching. He knew the only way to stop Biden from becoming president was to create chaos and delay. And he pushed forward anyway, despite knowing his claims were false. That's not someone who made a mistake. That's someone who committed crimes. Then there are the text messages. Oh, the text messages are even worse. In texts obtained by prosecutors, Patel is seen coordinating with Trump allies outside the government about how to pressure DOJ officials. In one exchange, Patel writes, "The president wants this done. Don't let anyone slow walk it. We need investigations announced before Monday." And the person on the other end responds, "You know, there's nothing there, right?" And Patel writes back, "Doesn't matter. It's about messaging. We need to create the appearance of ongoing inquiries to give state legislators cover." Read that again. Patel literally said, it doesn't matter if the fraud claims are true. It's about messaging. It's about creating cover. That is a confession. That is Patel admitting in writing that he knew the investigations were baseless, but pushed them anyway for political reasons. And prosecutors are going to use that text message to prove criminal intent beyond any reasonable doubt. Because once you admit you knew there was no fraud, but pushed investigations anyway to influence state legislatures, you've essentially confessed to conspiracy to defraud the United States. Now let's talk about what this means for Patel's immediate future, because the moment these documents were unsealed, Patel's legal situation changed dramatically. Before this, Patel could claim he was just doing his job, just following orders, just raising concerns about election integrity like any loyal staffer would. But now prosecutors have proof that Patel knew the fraud claims were false. They have proof he knew the investigations were baseless. They have proof he pushed anyway because Trump wanted him to. And that eliminates any plausible deniability Patel might have had. He can't say he was misled. He can't say he believed the fraud claims. His own texts show he knew better. So Patel's only real options now are to fight the charges and risk losing, or to cooperate and hope prosecutors give him a deal in exchange for testimony against bigger fish. And cooperating means testifying against Donald Trump. It means telling a jury everything he knows about Trump's direct involvement in these schemes. It means becoming the star witness for the prosecution in the most important criminal case in American history. And Patel knows that if he does that, he'll be branded a traitor by Trump's base forever. His political career will be over. His friendships in Trump world will be destroyed. He'll need witness protection for the rest of his life. But if he doesn't cooperate, he's looking at serious prison time. And not just a few months. We're talking potentially decades because conspiracy charges stack and mandatory minimums add up quickly. And here's the thing that makes this even more dramatic. Multiple sources are now reporting that Patel has been quietly reaching out to prosecutors through back channels. He's supposedly trying to gauge what kind of deal he might get if he agrees to cooperate. He's supposedly terrified of going to prison. He's supposedly been losing sleep, barely eating, looking like a completely different person than the confident attack dog who used to appear on Fox News and rail against the deep state. And if those reports are true, if Patel is really considering flipping, then Trump should be very, very worried because Patel knows where all the bodies are buried. He was in the room. He was on the calls. He saw the documents. He heard Trump's direct instructions. He could testify about things that no other witness can testify about. And his testimony, combined with the documentary evidence prosecutors already have, could be the nail in Trump's coffin. The prosecutor handling this case, a woman named Sarah Miller, who's been investigating public corruption for over 20 years. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's been building this case methodically for months. She's been gathering evidence, interviewing witnesses, following the paper trail, and now she's dropped this bombshell to put maximum pressure on Patel. She wants him to see that the evidence against him is overwhelming. She wants him to understand that his only way out is to cooperate. She's giving him a choice, and she's making sure he knows the consequences of choosing wrong. And Patel, from everything we're hearing, is absolutely panicking because he never thought it would come to this. He thought he was protected. He thought Trump would protect him. He thought the justice system would never come for someone as connected and powerful as him. But it is coming, and now he has to decide whether loyalty to Trump is worth spending the rest of his life in federal prison. Let's talk about what happens next because the timeline is moving fast. Prosecutor Miller is expected to seek an indictment within the next 30 to 60 days. That means Patel could be formally charged with federal crimes very soon, and once charges are filed, Patel's options narrow even further. He can plead not guilty and fight the charges at trial, which would take years and cost millions of dollars and almost certainly end with a conviction given the evidence against him. He can plead guilty and hope for a lighter sentence, which would mean admitting his crimes, but not cooperating against others. That would probably get him 10 to 15 years instead of 20 to 30. Or he can plead guilty and agree to cooperate, which could get his sentence reduced significantly, maybe even to just a few years, if his testimony leads to convictions of more important targets. And everyone in the legal world knows what the smart choice is. The smart choice is to cooperate. The smart choice is to give prosecutors everything they want and hope they go easy on you. But the smart choice also means betraying Donald Trump. And that's not a decision anyone makes lightly in Trump world because the consequences are severe, both personally and politically. And here's the irony in all of this. Kash Patel built his entire career on being loyal to Donald Trump. He was Trump's guy through and through. He defended Trump when no one else would. He attacked Trump's enemies with gleeful abandon. He positioned himself as Trump's most trusted warrior in the battle against the deep state. And now that loyalty might be the very thing that sends him to prison because Patel was so loyal, so eager to please, so willing to do whatever Trump asked that he left a paper trail a mile wide. He put everything in writing. He texted and emailed constantly. He created evidence that prosecutors can now use to destroy him. And Trump, the man Patel was so loyal to, can't do anything to help him now. Trump can't pardon him because these are state crimes in some cases, and even federal pardons wouldn't protect him from everything. Trump can't make the charges go away because he doesn't control the prosecutors. Trump can't even publicly defend him without drawing more attention to the case and making things worse. So, Patel is alone, facing the fight of his life with the man he sacrificed everything for, completely powerless to save him. This is the moment where we see whether loyalty in Trump world actually means anything. Because if Patel cooperates, if he becomes the witness who helps convict Donald Trump, it will shatter the myth that Trump's people will never turn on him. It will show that when faced with the choice between prison and cooperation, even the most loyal soldiers will choose freedom, and that could open the floodgates. If Patel flips, others will flip too. They'll see that Patel got a deal, and they'll want one too. And suddenly, prosecutors will have a lineup of witnesses ready to testify against Trump, all with first-hand knowledge, all with credibility issues that juries can evaluate, but all with stories that together paint an overwhelming picture of criminal conspiracy. So keep your eyes on Kash Patel right now, because what he does in the next few weeks could change everything. If he fights, we're looking at years of litigation and appeals and delays. If he folds, we're looking at testimony that could bring down a president. Either way, this story is far from over. In fact, it's just getting started, and the bombshell that just dropped is only the beginning of what's going to be a very long and very dramatic legal saga